Hey, here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
The great L. Bushman.
They'd have to make so many adjustments, but I don't know what they have to do. They need a miracle. They need a miracle.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousin.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Eric Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go. And welcome everyone to another edition of Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Work, Florida.
Sorry, there was a fly.
We are.
Something. I don't know what that was, but it was like
I know he hit the mic.
going around in my face.
I don't know if that was my cue to go or I was like.
It was half and half. There was
was
like a moth.
Okay.
It's still flying around.
All right, we'll get it eventually. But this is Whole Nother Level.
Hell.
I'm your man, Eric Wilson, joined by the great L. Bushman. And as always, Frank Mazzei is with us. Craig and Dwayne are out on assignment, but we got a guest in the building. I was caught off guard today when I understood that this young lady would be joining us today.
Could be an audition day.
I guess so, if that's
Good.
what you want to call it. But she has a very interesting football fantasy name. Goes by Victorious Vag, a.k.a. our girl Kristen Yalwin is with us. Did I say your last name right? Jalwin, excuse me. She is joining us today here on a Whole Nother Level. So, Kristen, I'm going to try and be nice to you. It's bittersweet
Did
because
she beat you a few times?
she beat me in fantasy. Actually, I think, did you beat me head-to-head? Or
I did beat you head-to-head.
Yeah,
I
head-to-head
crushed
she
you.
beat me. Oh, wow, she crushed me.
Wow.
Wait a minute. You didn't say badge the first time, right?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Wait,
I said Victorious Vag.
Okay, I thought you were saying badge before.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Kristen, how bad was the beatdown?
I don't even remember. I think it was about 40 or 50 points.
Whoa,
Dude.
wait a minute. Wait a
Really?
minute.
I
Hold
think
on.
It was bad.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. This is my first year in fantasy, number one.
Don't give me that shit.
And number two,
Was your whole team on a bye?
no.
You started Kaepernick, didn't you?
I don't have Kaepernick.
While he was on the bench.
But here's my thing.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
She's
Yeah.
been doing this
Bryce
for how many
Petty.
years have you been doing this?
7, 8.
See,
I don't know.
exactly. So I'm
It's
still
no
wet
excuse.
behind the ears
You should
on
have
this.
You should have football knowledge to
I
draft a
picked
good team.
last.
So
He
Okay.
drafted Josh Gordon.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did. His defense.
I did.
In his
Yes.
defense, I drafted Josh Gordon, but I drafted him in the later rounds.
Yes, same here. I got him and I kept him on the bench,
Yep.
thinking, after game 4, I might get something out of him.
I
but,
drafted Josh Gordon after I drafted a defense, and that was like the last couple of rounds there.
Listen, I thought Josh Gordon would be back. I wanted to make sure I had a solid receiver on my team.
You didn't have a couple before him?
Well, Brandon Marshall, who I wound up trading away, and then I had another guy. Okay, so wait, you only beat me by 21 points.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
21. It was not a 40 to 50 beatdown. I just got it right here. Y'all can see it. She beat me 153 to 132.
Still
so,
a beatdown, though.
Listen, my first year. I finished
you know,
seventh.
you need to take that whole first year thing and just kind of push it off. Let it go.
Anyhow, we're going to keep
Let it
going,
go.
keep the show moving. But, Kristen, welcome to the show. I promise I will try and do my best to be nice to you. I cannot guarantee that. But this is Whole Nother Level. Gentlemen, we got a lot to recap here. Not only do we have the college football playoffs, but we got some big baseball news. But as always, this time of year, we start in the football world. We're not even going to talk about the debacle that was the Monday night game. I'm glad to see Andrew Luck was back out there, hitting Frank Gore, hitting Dante Moncrief and T.Y. Hilton, and, congrats.
Dwayne Allen, man.
Dwayne Allen, exactly. You might actually make it to the postseason. I don't think so, but congratulations to that.
The Jets' defense helped him a little bit, too.
Yeah, they just let him run the ball. I mean, Frank Gore did not look like an aging Frank Gore last night. But anyhow, we're going to skip that game. I want to talk to the great L. Bushman.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
I'm serious, man, right now.
You want me to fire the cannons?
5 in a row, my
Woo! Fire the cannons!
5 in a row. And
You guys all thought I was nuts.
And a very doable schedule to come out on top. So,
the only real concern I have now is Dallas.
Yep.
Because it's doable. You're going to play New Orleans at home at a 4 o'clock game. Because now they pushed it to a little bit later in the prime time.
Right.
Go away to Dallas. Then you have to go to New Orleans.
Right.
And then the Dallas game, of course, was pushed to prime time Sunday night. So happy about that.
The Bucks got a Sunday night
game. And then we're going to have to go play New Orleans and come back home for Carolina. So it's a doable schedule.
3-1.
It's doable.
3-1.
They control their own destiny right now.
They really do.
Yeah, I mean, they're tied for first right now
Tied
with
for
Atlanta.
first. And they're the 6th seed. They took over from Washington over the weekend.
Playoffs start today. Bucks are in. Bucks haven't been to a postseason since the year they won it, or I mean,
it's been a while.
That long.
It's been a while.
So,
but the formation of this team it's that turning the corner. They have come together, and this is the whole thing now. It's like a hashtag family now. They are now as a family, and they look at. I mean, they're playing well together. They're locked in. They're locked in.
Good. Well, I mean, listen, you went on the road. Let's see the teams you've beat on the road so far: Kansas City.
Yep.
You beat Seattle at home, held them to 5 points.
Yep.
And now you went to San Diego, and even after
San Francisco.
Oh, and well, I don't.
They don't count that.
It's San Francisco. But who was your guy that went down? Starts with a C.
Cecil Short.
Cecil. He went down.
Yeah,
and that was a scary moment.
And he's done for the rest of the year. Torn ACL today. They had to put him in the cast at the game on field. So the main concern is wide receiver depth. They don't have much. Adam Humphries got hurt. Also, since Cecil Short is out too, it's who you going to go to? And Mike Evans is your boy, but Cameron Brate was very good complimenting him on Sunday. It's just who are they really going to get to be that could be a number 2 next to Mike Evans going forward? So that's the big question right now.
I think Jameis Winston is going to target Cameron Brate a lot more, and I think Cameron Brate is going to produce for you these next 4 games. I think we're really going to see an emergence of him moving forward. Kristen, let me ask you a question. Looking at the games that Tampa has left, like we said, 2 at New Orleans, 1 home, 1 away, the big game against Dallas, and then, of course, Carolina on January 1st. What do you expect from this Tampa team?
Choose your words wisely, Kristen.
I'm actually a fan.
Okay,
growing
good.
On me.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm a Jameis fan. But I think, like you said, 3-1. I don't think there's a chance they're beating Dallas. I just think Dallas is too good right now, and they're on point. New Orleans is very beatable. You saw what happened on Sunday. I was kind of hoping for the little comeback and see the old Drew Brees throwing, bombs down the field and everything. But and Carolina just, I don't know what's happened to them, but they just don't look like, obviously, the Carolina last year. I think 3-1. I think they can get a wild card spot, and it'd be exciting to see them in the playoffs.
I like her style, Eric. She can stay.
Frank,
yeah.
Since she touched on it, I want to go to you with this next game, my brother, and say to you, Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Can we honestly now, looking at where they're at, can we say that they are actually the real deal this year?
Jim Bob Cooter. Look, I picked New Orleans to win the game. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it.
I think we all did, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, Drew Brees still threw.
Nope, I picked Detroit.
Whatever.
You and Steve.
Me and Steve are one true fan at Old School where we're at every Sunday from 11:30 till the start of the games. But go ahead.
I mean, Brees still threw for 350 yards. I mean, and it almost seems like, he didn't have a very good game, so to speak. But look, I mean, anybody that can go into New Orleans and beat the Saints there on that field, I mean, that's a good win. I mean, Detroit has some quality wins this year. I mean, look, I didn't think I would say this at the beginning of the year, but Detroit's a good football team. And I think overlooked was last year. They finished the last 8 games of last year's season 6-2. So you could at least see that they were starting to put it together, and then they had some injuries starting off the year, and then it was like, okay, back to reality. But look, even without Calvin Johnson, Marvin Jones, Golden Tate, I mean, but Theo Riddick, look, offensively, Detroit is on point. Their biggest problems are going to be defensively, basically.
I'm glad you brought that up, Frank, because that's what I noticed about Stafford is he doesn't really have a favorite of who he's throwing to, and that's good week to week because now defenses are like, okay, who am I going to cover? And Golden Tate was the guy this week. Thank you very much, fantasy points wise. Thank you. Not so much for my quarterback Drew Brees, who got me nothing but big old 7 points off of his 3 INTs going along with his 300 yards.
Yeah, but then again, that's a hiccup for Drew Brees in the world, in the scheme of who Drew Brees is.
Yeah, but Eric, when it comes to fantasy playoff time, you don't need hiccups like that.
Hiccups.
Come on, I don't want hiccups like that.
I understand.
Got money on the line.
You don't want it at the end of the season when it's playoff times for fantasy. You want to make sure that he's consistent throughout. But in the grand scheme of things, Drew Brees throwing for 326. I mean,
3 picks.
No touchdowns.
3 picks.
That's what stuck out to me. Not one touchdown. You had Cooks, you had
Trust me, I have
Fleener,
Michael
you
Thomas.
had
Michael
right.
Thomas got a big old goose egg over that.
So I'm like, this was the week that you just sit New Orleans because nobody produced. And on the flip side, you have to, in my opinion, you now have to throw Matthew Stafford in the MVP conversation. I know there are some people who are saying, I'm jumping the gun here. There's still 4 weeks left. But looking at the grand scheme of things, without Calvin Johnson,
Detroit's winning this division. I mean, let's be. I mean, they're sitting at 8 wins right now, and look, we see what Minnesota is basically back down to earth.
Right.
And Green Bay. I mean, look, if they could play the Texans every week, okay, then they might make a run.
or Philadelphia.
But
Whoa!
But they're not-
Let's pump the brakes there, Philly.
I'm just saying.
they're not going to play the Texans every week. So I mean, and look, I mean, and the Bears. I mean, there's not even a mention there. So Detroit is basically head and shoulders. I mean, all they have to do is just finish out the season. I mean, look, if they split, if they go 500 the rest of the season, they're probably still winning it.
Someone has to come out of the NFC North, and right now, like we said, it is theirs to lose. So I want to move to another game since we keep the show going here on a whole nother level. Kristen, your team that you live and breathe and die by was off this week. By the way, they still lost to the bye week 24-21. But
Wait,
I want to stay in your division. Yes, she
You're a
is
Browns fan?
We're having a perfect season, guys.
Nice.
We have a parade plan.
with the number one pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry.
Deshaun Watson from
Dude, they won't even go quarterback this year.
We will.
No, I
We
don't
will.
see it happening.
I'm going to be at the draft. I am personally going to Facebook Live that just for you so you can see it because if they do go quarterback, that place is just going to probably say, what the hell are you thinking, Cleveland?
Well, who do they have?
They've got RG3. They've got Josh
Come
McCown. They've got
on.
Cody
Come
Kessler.
on.
They've got Terrell Pryor Sr., who's now playing wide receiver. You have a plethora of quarterbacks.
Yeah, but see, Cleveland's got so many holes to fill.
I agree with
I
you.
can't-
Do not go quarterback.
I wouldn't
but
go quarterback as your go get a quarterback later in the rounds.
You don't need one, period.
Don't. No, you do. You have Mr. Glass, who's probably never coming back. McCown gets hurt if a gust of wind gets on him.
Cody Kessler is not the answer. And
Come on.
Pryor is at best served as being a wide receiver. They do not have a quarterback. I mean, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick will be available. I mean,
I'm sure Romo might want to come.
I'd
to
say
Cleveland.
Tony Romo's available.
You would like that, wouldn't you? Tony Romo coming to Cleveland?
I might, but he'll probably get hurt too, just like everybody else. So
just because you have multiple quarterbacks does not mean you have a quarterback.
Well, listen,
I
Craig.
mean, we got Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith. Doesn't mean that you have a quarterback. Yes, you have quarterbacks in the sense of actual bodies, but they don't have anybody in as far as that position that's going to take them forward.
Okay. What I was going to ask you, Kristen, staying in your division, which is the AFC North, tell me what you saw with the Giants-Pittsburgh game that would give you reason to think that Pittsburgh is going to do what they've always done and win this division.
well, Pittsburgh has Ben Roethlisberger. They have Antonio Brown right there. I mean, when they team up and they're doing great, you can't stop them. I think the Giants, we probably gave them an unfair rating. I don't think they're as good as, they are. Eli.
I do like her. I do like
I
her.
know you like her. She hates the Giants.
I don't hate the Giants. Eli is my backup quarterback, actually.
Oh, okay.
But I just don't think that they don't pull it together like we just give them too much credit. I don't know if it's because they're the Giants or what. Pittsburgh, somehow, I like Mike Tomlin. Hates me. I hate to say that, but he's a good coach. They find ways to pull it out. I think Baltimore is going to give them a run for their money, but I see Pittsburgh coming out of the North.
So even with Baltimore, neck and neck with them pretty much at this point, you're still going to give the edge to Pittsburgh to win this division.
I think Roethlisberger and Brown is going to be better than Flacco and Steve Smith, Mike Wallace, whoever they have. I just think.
Let me move to the man next to you on your right, who is a huge, huge Pittsburgh fan, and say to you, sir, are you okay now? 'Cause there's been several weeks where you've been very harsh on your Pittsburgh Steelers. So I need to know, where is Frank at right now when it comes to this team?
Are they still the shower curtain?
Well, actually, they had a pretty good showing. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., look, if you look at his numbers from that game, granted, Antonio Brown's numbers weren't exactly anything to write home about, but Odell Beckham didn't go off on a young secondary, which I was happy to see. Yeah, I still got to go shower curtain just because until I see more. But no, I'm not happy from the standpoint of if the playoffs were today, Pittsburgh's out because Baltimore has the tiebreaker with that win over them. So Pittsburgh is sitting at like 8th right now, as far as trying to get a wild card. But I do believe, though, that they will end up winning that division. Here's the best thing that came out of that game for me. Ladarius Green.
Finally
showing up.
Yeah.
Well, he was hurt probably the first 7 or 8 weeks. So, but that's why they went out and got him. That's what he can do. I mean, he had over 100 yards. I mean, he's going to be a matchup nightmare. He's an upgrade over Heath Miller from last year, and I love me some Heath Miller. But the offense is looking better. Le'Veon Bell actually is much better than what he was when he came back after the game 4. So I am happy. The defense does look better. So I'm cautiously optimistic there. But offensively, I think Pittsburgh can score with anybody if everybody's on the field and everybody's healthy. And if Martavis Bryant didn't screw it up, it could have been one of the most prolific offenses ever. But that's another.
Hey, Frank, there's always next year.
That's our line.
That's Cleveland's line. Great L. Bushman, I wanna go to you and ask you about the other team that played on Sunday against the Steelers and the New York Football Giants. Now, granted, this team's not in your division. Mm-hmm. You don't really care that much about them, but I have to ask you, looking at this defense, do you think that they are finally starting to find their cohesiveness together? Because what I did see with the Giants defense on Sunday, even though Big Ben kind of did pick them apart, and
that's their main issue is all year has been they've been picked apart by good quarterbacks.
They started to rally themselves. I saw Eli Apple kind of step up. I think he had an interception. Jason Pierre-Paul is after 12, 13 weeks is finally getting used to playing with 3 fingers. So I want to ask you because, as Kristen said, we give the Giants a lot of props because we know how sneaky good they can be.
And I've never done that.
You being
Ever.
Fine. You
Ever.
being the exception to the rule, then let me ask you, what did you see from the Giants defense? Not necessarily that offense, but from the Giants defense on Sunday that I'm going to say to you, right now they hold that number 5 spot.
I see the little Dutch boy at the edge of the river with his thumb on the dam, and the hole is getting bigger and bigger, and the water keeps leaking out. That's what I see.
Okay.
So, as a defensive whole, when you have quarterbacks like the Ben Roethlisbergers pick them apart like they did, they're going to have trouble going along the way. Their schedule coming up is very tough, closing it out. So could they be like Washington and maybe start to slip and slide? Probably, yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, I just have to ask that question because we are getting down to the nitty-gritty of the NFL. More importantly, pretty much in the AFC side of things, I'm going to say for the most part, teams have pretty much sewn up where they're going to be in the postseason. The only exception is I think that Tennessee is going to come out of the AFC South as opposed to currently who controls it in Houston. Meanwhile, on the NFC, there is still some time for teams, if they could kind of get themselves together and rally themselves together, we might see a New York Giants slide. We might see an Atlanta Falcons slide. We're hoping for that.
Yes, we are.
Time will tell. Washington Redskins right now are currently out. They're fighting to get back in, and Tampa controls their own destiny. So you're looking at these teams in the 5 and 6 position and saying, okay, there's truly a hunt for those last 2 spots. And based on what I saw this past weekend, speaking more about the Redskins than I will about the New York Football Giants, Washington played with a sense of urgency. They just played a better team. But we're going to get into that when we come back from break. You're listening to us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all over the place tonight. You got us here at Cowork Florida. We're on Spreaker.com. We're on Raw Talk Online, iTunes, YouTube. And as always, the replays on www.hnl3.com. This is Whole Nother Level, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level right here at Cowork Florida. This is your man, Eric Wilson, joined by the great L. Bushman, Frank Mazzei, and, of course, our guest in here, Kristen Yalwin. I can never say that right. I'm sorry.
You got it.
All right. Awesome. And with us on the line right now is a big friend of the show. He chimes in every time we're on Facebook Live, but has the pleasure of joining us this evening. One, Mr. Danny Snyder. Finally get a chance to talk to you, my brother. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing very well. So, Danny, let me ask you, man, Miami Dolphins, y'all going to get it done and get in the postseason this year? What's going on?
No, man. Baltimore killed them.
Well, I mean, you're still sitting at 7-5, and you're in the hunt. If one of these two teams slip, either the Broncos or the Chiefs, and you guys find a way to make it work, I mean, you might actually get in.
Yeah, but they have the Cardinals and the Patriots still left. I think they're screwed.
All right, you're just throwing a towel in right now and saying, even though you have the Jets and the Bills, which I can conceivably see those as 2 wins, Cardinals, of course, are going to give you a true test, and then your final games against the Patriots. But I just want to hear from you, man. You chime in on us every time we're on Facebook Live. Talk to me about your Fins and what's going on.
Screw that, Danny. Ask him the question you were.
I can't even.
Danny, ask him the question you were going to ask me. Screw that.
My question for you, Eric, is: do you want to reevaluate my previous question a few weeks ago about Prescott or Wentz?
No, I do not. Will not. Have not. Ain't gonna happen. Nope. Even with our team right now sitting at 5-7 and pretty much out of the postseason, I still say to you, I will still go with Carson Wentz over Dak Prescott for this particular reason.
Oh, here we go.
Dak Prescott has played with the same 5 men in front of him all season long, whereas Philadelphia, if we had our 5 offensive line, everybody from Lane Johnson all the way to Jason Peters and all points in between, I truly believe we would be poised in this position to be going to the postseason. But because we had a rookie on the left side in Big V, he's now gone. Alan Barber tried to step in and couldn't get the job done. Our offensive line is the Achilles heel for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm still saying to this day, I still would go with Carson Wentz over Dak Prescott.
Fair enough. I think you're kind of not telling all the truth. I don't believe all that. How can you possibly, in your right mind, still say that, man?
Listen, if you want me to pick apart Philadelphia, please know that I will spend the rest of this show doing that. There's not enough time.
Eric, we don't want to lose listeners.
Exactly. This is not the Philadelphia Eagles show. Listen, this is what you can do. You can listen to my ROE that I do on YouTube every week with my boy Lance LaRosa, and I'll gladly break down specifically for you the problems that exist in Philadelphia. But for
Are you gonna do
right
that this
now,
week?
I'm doing it this week.
Okay, good.
I really am.
Okay.
But for right now, what I will say to you, my brother, is I still look at him and say, I look at the first 3 weeks with everybody being healthy, what he was able to do, and being thrown to the wolves. Granted, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but what I saw out of him was when he is protected, he makes accurate reads, and he's there. Now, we have other issues. I'm not going to get into them. You saw them firsthand against Cincinnati on Sunday, a team that I thought we should just go in and beat, but clearly it doesn't matter whether A.J. Green was playing or not. We still cannot win on the road. But at the end of the day, yes, I'm still going with Carson.
Even if Dallas wins the Super Bowl, will you still reevaluate? Will you still? Oh,
I will
come
not.
on!
I will not reevaluate. I will not, because I'm saying.
What's your mute button? Hold on a second.
Find it. I'll just grab your microphone. I will grab yours. But Danny, here's what I want to ask you.
Sure.
Adam Gase, first-year head coach for the Miami Dolphins. Give me a grade with this guy based on what he's been able to do with Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins team.
I'd give him a B-, but unlike you, I don't make excuses for my O-line being injured. And having Pouncey and Albert, who are both Pro Bowlers, Laramie Tunsil, who was having a great rookie season, Dolphins would probably be 1 or 2 wins up right now, but I don't make excuses for the quarterback. But when he's protected, like you said about Wentz, he's been a really great quarterback.
Go ahead, finish.
It's like a B-.
All right. What do you think about Kenny Stills? Are y'all going to keep him, or what are you going to do with him?
I think they keep him. I think Tannehill's starting to kind of bond with him and like him a little bit, man. And, again, when he's protected, when his O-line's working for him, when they're healthy, Tannehill's gotten better at the deep ball.
All right, well, even though you're not going to come out and say it, I'll say it for you. I wish you the best over these last 4 weeks. I'd like to see Miami get in. I think it'll be good not only for the team itself to get back into the postseason, because I don't know when the last time was y'all were in the postseason,
Oh, shit, 2008 against the Ravens. Actually, the Ravens beat them in the first round.
Oh, so it has been this millennium. Okay, I was just making sure. I had to ask the question.
Was Chad Pennington quarterback then?
Oh, God, either Pennington or Fiedler maybe? I don't know, man.
Wow. Danny, man, thank you for calling in, man. Horrible. It is so good. Hopefully we get to see you at Old School one Sunday, man, but appreciate the time. Thanks for calling in.
Awesome, man. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. That was your good buddy there, Danny Snyder, finally calling in. I was happy to hear him talk. So let me ask you guys the same thing I asked him. Rate Adam Gase right now, first year head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Great Al Bushman.
If this was a couple weeks ago, I would have given him a C, but now I'm going to give him a B+. Because now it's starting to click with that offense and Ryan Tannehill.
Frank?
A.
You give him an A.
I give him an A. I mean, look, did anybody think if I told you at the beginning of the year this would be Miami's record at this point, nobody in the world would have picked Miami to be in this place. First-year head coach, nobody knew what to expect, and Tannehill, up until this year, had pretty much regressed. So, I mean, look, I'll give Gase the credit for that because everywhere he's been, things have gotten better. So, yeah, I give him an A.
He's the number one thing on Jay Cutler's wish list this year.
I'm sure he is. Kristen, what do you got?
I can't give him an A just yet. I'm going to go B+B. It's promising. Looks good. The running back they got was a great decision, Jay Ajayi. Or however you say his name. But,
yeah, you said it correctly.
Did
Yeah,
I say it right?
He looks really good. I think he might be, if I decide to do fantasy next year, he may be my number one pick.
Good luck getting him in the first round.
I drafted him and then dropped him because Foster was still starting, and now I'm so mad at myself.
Oh my God, yeah, because those couple of games that he had back-to-back 200-plus yards.
Oh, yeah.
That would have made for some serious – I mean, you already are winning fantasy or in the playoffs, so that would have just boosted you, as our show says, to a whole nother level. All right, so – Baltimore, though, on the flip side, looking at where they're at, can they retain their spot in the postseason? Great Al Bushman, during break, you were saying that you think the Steelers are going to find a way to get in, so I need you to defend your position here.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Texans, who they're going to continue to slide. I mean, I don't know how they've been winning, but I just don't like them being in that spot. And then with the Ravens and Pitt playing the last game, correct? Frank?
Next to last.
Next to last game.
I thought it was last, but I think it's next.
This is the time of the year that Roethlisberger and that offense just goes bananas. So I love Pittsburgh in this time of the year because they always find a way to get into the playoffs somehow. I mean, last year they did. I mean, I thought they were going to go 13-3 in this season, but with all the injuries that they've had on that team and the defense has been suspect, I like them getting in, and I had them beating Baltimore the second last game.
All right.
So.
Kristen, what do you see? Again, this is one of the teams in your division. So what do you expect from Baltimore?
I think that their defense is outstanding. I'm really impressed with their defense this year. Flacco had a great game on Sunday. I don't know if it's going to be a constant through the end of the season. I was really shocked, though, but they hold Miami to 6 points, I think it was.
6 points, yeah.
Is their defense going to be enough to stop Pittsburgh's offense is really the question here. And I think Ben Roethlisberger is just going to pull it out. As much as I dislike him, I think that he's an amazing quarterback. And they always, like Al said, find a way to win.
We got another caller. Hold on. You're on with Whole Nother Level. Who are we talking to?
Hey, it's Chaz. What's up, guys?
Chaz, man, from the Mad Talk Show on Wednesday nights. What's up, my brother? How are you?
You're so enthusiastic whenever you call in, Chaz. Jeez.
I know. I'm just so ecstatic to the fact that we've only beat the Rams by 16, so that's okay.
Are you serious?
Wait, hold
on. You're going to complain because you beat the Rams by 6. Only a Patriots fan would do that. Enjoy the win, man.
Hello? I'm a Patriot fan.
Enjoy the win. At least you got to win, man. Come on. Some of us sitting over here.
I actually want to comment on the last call that actually came in. Apparently, he actually asked a question about Prescott or Wentz.
Yes.
And you still say Carson Wentz?
I do.
Here we go.
I do. And I've given you my reasons why. If you want to hear more, tune in to the ROE that I'll be doing later tonight.
And actually, I agree. If you go ahead and put Wentz behind that offensive line and the running back in Dallas, I think he'd be doing a lot better than Prescott.
Thank you. See, it's the holiday season. Chaz and I are getting along here, people. Take a mental note. This is what we do.
But since he is behind a 5 feather pillows, he's not going to do that great.
That's actually 5 feather pillows.
I like that.
5 feather pillows.
It's not as bad as it's not as good as the shower curtain, but I'll take it.
3 turtle doves.
I'll take it. And a partridge in a pear tree. Just go ahead.
I got to gloat into Bush's team, the Bucks. Is this 4 wins in a row?
It's a 5.
Tie for the South?
It's gonna be 5 wins in a row. So yes, we're tied with Atlanta.
I'm telling you, I did not think they would come through the way they've been coming through. I did not think they were going to win in San Diego. But you know what? For the way they're playing, I think they can go up against Atlanta and take the crown.
Chaz, let me ask you a quick question. Going forward with the New England Patriots and Gronkowski, with all of his injuries, and this is his second back surgery now. It's not the same vertebrae and everything, because if it was, his career would have ended. This is another one they have to fuse together. Do you think it's about time to maybe say, Gronk, it's been nice, maybe we need to move on to somebody that's going to stay healthy through a whole season, or do you roll with Gronk until he says he can't do it anymore?
You know, that's actually an article that was brought up by any Patriots 24/7, and they were saying that Gronk, his time might be limited. And I'll be honest with you, as great as a tight end is when he's healthy, that's something that the Patriots have no nonsense over. They will cut you if they can't rely on you.
Right.
And now that they have Bennett in there, he's been, he's not a 100% replacement, but he's a target Brady can go to and rely on. And yeah, Gronk, I think part of the reason why he gets injured a lot is because he is so physical and he just brings that dynamic. He just plays hard. And that's something that I think they loved about him, but it's causing him to regress, miss more time than he's actually playing.
Do you think Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick could be going in the offseason going, okay, what do we do with Gronk?
No, not this year, because according to this year, he's still going to be underpaid as a tight end.
Okay.
I think 2018 is when his contract, I think, goes to $9 million and $12 million to hit the cap, respectively, 2018 and 19. That's where they're going to have to make some decisions. So if he comes back and has a stellar 2017, you may see him keep those 2 years.
Interesting. Hey, Chaz, before we let you go, I got one last question I want to ask you. Can you talk about this guy who has just come out of nowhere in Malcolm Mitchell? Like, where did y'all find this brother from?
You know what? This was supposed to be Aaron Dobson was supposed to be this guy. And this guy has just come out of nowhere. He's basically he's a rookie that they just flew on. When would anybody ever question the scouts for the Patriots? They would find the deepest freaking receivers, quarterbacks, linebackers in the deepest rounds, and they'll just come out and surprise the hell out of you. I mean, Mitchell just came. It was just good scouting, and Brady and him found a groove. That's all it really is.
If you're in fantasy playoffs, the number one waiver wire
pickup, you can't be a part of the clique. You're not going to make it, and that's what Dobson and Thompson and a bunch of other good receivers. They could have been good receivers, failed to produce.
Wow. All right, man. As always, we appreciate y'all calling in. Chaz, Raw Talk Online, Mad Talk Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Correct?
You got tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Make sure y'all go and check this brother out, man. He keeps it real 100%. Chaz, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Take care.
So, finishing up really quick, I want to give you guys the schedule for Baltimore, and I just want to know from you what you think their record's going to be before we move on. Baltimore, first off, they've got the Monday night game against New England in New England. Then they play in Philly. Nope, then Philly comes to them. They go to the Steelers. Their final game, I was actually wrong. Their final game is at Cincinnati. So, in the last 4 games, Kristen, I'll start with you. Give me a record for the Ravens.
I got to say 2-2. They lose to Pittsburgh and New England.
All right, Frank?
Same.
Evan?
Same.
All right, across the board, I'm saying 1-3. Just because I want Philly to win.
Wait, what's their only victory going to be?
Their only victory is going to be against Cincinnati the final week, because it's not even going to matter for either team, so they're just going to put all the scrubs in and say, here's your playing time. Listen, I'm allowed to do that. Let's keep it moving here.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers played the Houston. Frank.
Yeah.
Green Bay, do they have a shot? I know you said earlier they don't, but can you at least make a case for either one of these two teams making the postseason? Because right now, Houston is in, Green Bay is not. Can you make a case for Green Bay possibly getting in?
I mean, if Jim Carrey had a shot in Dumb and Dumber, then I guess Green Bay does have a shot. I mean,
what was that 1 in a million talk, Frank?
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm just asking because I look at this and I say, if Green Bay, more importantly, if Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy can at least get on the same page for these last 4 weeks, they could find a way to slide in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, they're still mathematically in, and yes, they still have a shot. I mean, look, they just won last week, and Green Bay's a team, regardless of all their problems, deficiencies that they have on defense. I mean, when that offense clicks, I mean, it's pretty good, and teams are going to have to deal with it. I still think Detroit wins that division, but wild cards in the NFC. I mean, if the New York Giants continue to slide, I mean, they're there. The Bucs sitting there. I mean, look, yeah, I'll throw Green Bay in that. They're in that conversation, if you will, for a wild card spot.
All right, flipping to the other team that played, Kristen. Let me ask you, with Houston, a team that we have said week in and week out, their record does not coincide with what we see on the field. I have been the first to say I think Tennessee is going to be the team that uproots the Houston Texans from winning this division. But more importantly, I want to ask you, let's say you are Houston's ownership. You gave Brock Osweiler $72 million. J.J. Watt is gone. Clowney has kind of stepped up, and Vince Wilfork has played his position well. What needs to happen? What pieces does either Brock Osweiler need to be successful in Houston, or does Houston need to kind of maybe try and push that contract off to somebody else?
I think they need to push the contract off to somebody else. They got a great running back. I just don't think Osweiler is elite. He's one of these guys maybe in the middle of the pack, but he's not going to be the guy to get him there. I see Mariota is the guy who can beat elite in Tennessee, and that's why Tennessee is going to go further than Houston.
All right. Great L. Bushman.
I like her evaluation.
I do too.
It's pretty spot on.
I really do. But I want to ask you, because this was your team originally. You said 12-4. Right now, 11-5, 10-6. It may still get them in. So let's say, for argument's sake, that Houston retains the number 3 or 4 spot in the postseason because they win their division. Mm-hmm. How far are they going to go in the postseason?
They'll be knocked out first round.
First round. Wild card weekend, it's done, no matter who's playing.
Yep. And I think Frank can agree with me on this. He has not utilized his offensive weapons in DeAndre Hopkins.
No, he's ruined my fantasy team.
DeAndre
Hopkins
I brought out the monster, Eric. See, because, look, Brock Osweiler is still on that wanted poster about stealing $72 million from the Houston Texans and the city of Houston. Lovely city, by the way. But when you have a number 1 wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller, who we all thought was going to be a complimentary number 2, has done nothing all. These two guys have done nothing all season, and it's because of the guy under center. He still looks... And he looks like just really uncomfortable of what he's doing, dropping back. When he's in the pocket, he just looks so confused of what he's going to do, and he just coughs up interceptions. I mean, he's almost as bad as Blake Bortles in there. Ugh. And Kristen, you put it on point. You have a star running back in Lamar Miller. I mean, I think he got hurt over the weekend, but with that offense, you should be putting up more points than that. And I know their defense is banged up a little bit, but Clowney's picked it up a little bit, but they're so inconsistent with this team, and with Tennessee just creeping up and being on their heels, I just don't see them getting in now. I just see Tennessee overpassing them. You could even look at Indianapolis and say Indianapolis could sneak in too. So that whole division is now up for grabs between those 3 teams.
I mean, all 3 teams right now sitting at 6-6. So, I mean, but right now, Houston is the only team in that division with a perfect record against their divisional opponents because they haven't played those other 3 teams yet again. So go ahead, Frank.
The one thing that Houston did that was smart, because they're paying the stupid tax right now for Brock Osweiler. The one smart thing that they did was they made it a 2-year deal and guaranteed $38 million. So after 2 years, they could go, no more Brock, which is basically how it looks and how it should be. I mean, they never should have gave him that much money, but at least they structured it in a way so that, basically after 2 years, see you later if it doesn't work out. So they're not tied to him long term because, look, Will Fuller can take the top off of defense.
Yep.
He's crazy fast. Braxton Miller even. I'm not saying he's the best, but as a third option, it's criminal. I got nothing out of DeAndre Hopkins in fantasy.
Zero. He's been dropped in so many leagues now. It's not even funny.
I dropped him.
He had over 1,500 yards last year with guys throwing him the ball like Brandon Whedon and
Brian Hoyer,
T.J. Yates, and guys and he got 1,500 yards. That should tell you everything you need to know about Brock Osweiler because he's not even going to get 1,000 yards this season. I don't think.
There's 4 games left, so unless he goes off those last 4 games, I don't see it happening.
Can I throw a hypothetical question out there?
Please.
What if the Houston Texans could look at Osweiler and be like, all right, shit. We kind of made a mistake on this guy. Could another?
They've already done that.
Okay. Well, could they maybe go and look at another Texas quarterback, as in Tony Romo, and be like, why don't we maybe bring Romo over here for a year or two and see what he can do?
Different conference, different division.
An easy division.
Andrew Luck, Marcus Mariota.
Blake Bortles?
Well, we're not talking about Blake. Blake's too much. We're done with Jacksonville.
Okay.
The possibility does exist, and I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, but what I will say to you, though, is
I'd rather take a broken, aging Tony Romo over a Brock Osweiler.
And that's what I was going to say to you. If you look at his history, him not being able to stay healthy consistently and being 35, 36 years of age, he already walks into any organization with a target on his back. And more importantly than that, he's not going to have an offensive line like the one in Dallas. I think for the sake and health of Tony Romo, he should stay where he's at. Because
Eric, even with the offensive line he had in Dallas, he still got hurt. It doesn't matter.
Because Tony tried to do too much. I really feel that way. I feel Tony tried to put the game on his shoulders one too many times. What Cam Newton does, puts it on his shoulders one too many times. There are so many quarterbacks out there today who feel that they are all 53 men, no matter who's on the field. They feel like since they are in this position and they are, quote, unquote, the leader of the team.
Do you feel that way about Carson Wentz?
They need to put it on them. Do I feel that way with Carson Wentz? Over the past 2 games, yes. I feel that the game against Green Bay and the game against Cincinnati, I felt like he tried to do too much. The chemistry was not there with him and Bryce Teggs. The chemistry was not there with him and other people.
Okay.
He's used to Ryan Matthews. He's still not used to Wendell Smallwood.
All right. But if you're Houston, would you take a chance on Romo?
I would not.
Okay.
Based on his history.
Look, here's what I'll say. If they bring in Romo, then they can't have Osweiler making that money and sitting on, being a backup. But, yeah, I'd take Romo over Osweiler. Look, here's what it's going to come down to. How much money, which the Texans owner, I'm sure he's a billionaire or whatever, how much is he willing to just say, we'll eat it, somebody screwed up, let's just, it ain't happening. And just whatever money they owe him, whatever salary cap, it's like, screw it. Tom Savage is, he's a backup. He's there. Look, I'm not saying he's great, but he can't do any worse. How can he do worse?
But they're still atop their division, and if they
for now,
not because of Brock Osweiler.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, but he is one of the 53 men on the field any given time who is producing victories. And granted, they're on a 3-game losing streak, so I will agree with you. Maybe it is time, as Kristen said, you know what? Pull the plug on it. Let's go with Tom Savage for a year and kind of But listen to me. Hold on now.
That's a bad idea.
Rebuild, because what are they going to do? They're going to pull a rookie from the draft, or maybe they could find somebody else to fit the scheme.
I say you go out and free agent.
Well, all right, so then give me somebody.
Romo.
Right outside. Okay, fine. Outside of Romo, give me somebody.
A.J. McCarron.
Okay. All right. He's just sitting behind Andy Dalton.
Yep.
Okay, fine. A.J. McCarron. Kristen, anybody?
I got nothing.
All right, that's fine.
He came in that playoff game last year, and actually he did
pretty good.
They didn't lose that game because of A.J. McCarron.
You're right. Okay, so there are quarterbacks out there right now who Houston could say, let's go get and eat whatever.
I wouldn't even say it's a rebuilding mode if you're just replacing the quarterback because they have offensive weapons already there.
Yeah.
You just need a guy that can actually manage the offense well.
Okay. Well,
he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys who this year have been managing the offense very well, I want to get to Kansas City at Atlanta. And Great L. Bushman, you posed a great question. Has the slide for Atlanta started? Taking your personal feelings out of it, because I know how you feel.
Ah, damn it.
Listen, if I got to be objective about Philadelphia, you got to be objective about Tampa every once in a while.
I know.
Do you think this is the downward spiral for Atlanta?
No,
Or-
I don't.
Okay.
That's taking everything out.
Right.
Because Kansas City's a good team.
Yeah.
Their schedule coming up is pretty darn easy. You got Los Angeles, San Fran, Carolina, New Orleans. Pretty easy. If you slide on that,
you don't deserve to
be in the postseason.
You're right.
But playing a team like Kansas City is tough. I mean, I know my Bucks, went in the Arrowhead and beat them. So, but that's a different story. But playing a team like that is tough. It's a tough team. But I don't see the slide. It's not going to happen this year.
Frank,
it's not.
One of your two favorite quarterbacks.
Alex Smith.
Field goal, Mr. Field Goal himself.
Love me some Alex Smith.
He's finding a way to keep winning, my man. So I have to ask you, Kansas City right now, they're pretty much going to lock up this number 5 seed. How far do you see them going in the postseason?
Not very.
Okay.
I look. It depends who they get in the first round. I mean, could they win a game? Yeah, I could make a case for them winning a game, but as good as Kansas City's defense is, look, I love me some Justin Houston and Marcus Peters. I mean, their pass rush it's for real. Does anybody see Kansas City as a legitimate Super Bowl contender? I mean, because what's going to get them is what gets them all the time, points. I mean, Alex Smith will get you field goals. He'll drive the ball. They had a play the last game where they had one wide receiver out on the field. One wide receiver. That's it. I mean, you basically know what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball, and then Alex Smith is going to look for Kelsey and hopefully Tyreek Hall, since he's on my fantasy team now. So maybe, he'll get me some extra points. But, I mean, that's basically it. That's what's going to do Kansas City in. They don't have they need some DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, my goodness. I mean, Alex Smith might actually, put up some numbers, but They need better wide receivers, but no, Kansas City, one win maybe.
Okay. Short week for this team playing Thursday night against Oakland. So let me ask you real quick, everybody, and then we're going to take our break. Oakland at Kansas City. Ladies first. Who do you got in this game?
Oakland. Oakland's playing too good right now. They're too explosive.
All right, Frank.
Raiders.
Great L. Bushman.
Raiders.
You just black and silver today?
Yeah, man.
In the colors?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's a unanimous decision. Like I said to you guys last year.
Khalil Mack, man.
Well, last week, and I've been saying for the past couple of weeks. Yeah, your boy, Khalil Mack, man.
He's tearing it up.
Stepping it up huge. But I rode Carolina's bandwagon last year. I rode it all the way to the Super Bowl, baby. I rode it till the wheels fell off that thing. And this year, just not only because we're doing it at Old School, where the owner, Carl, is a huge Raiders fan, but I said this, I know I said this last season, that young nucleus, Derek Carr, Latavius Murray, Crabtree, and Cooper, and now on top of that, Khalil Mack and that Oakland defense. I've said it once and I'll say it again. If Jack Del Rio does not get Coach of the Year, something is flawed. Because what he was able to do with this team, and we've seen them go in and be down and rally back to win games, whether home or away. So great stuff. Let's take another break. When we come back, we're going to touch on a little college football.
Speaking of flawed.
Yeah, hugely. You might have to mute my microphone for what I'm about to say when we come back. But anyhow, this is Whole Nother Level. 813-699-5353 is the number to call in. We are on Raw Talk Online, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and, of course, as always, the replay, www.hnl3.com. Be right back. And welcome back to We Are Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Work, Florida. Yeah, I've been doing it since Sunday. I'm going to keep on doing it, especially after what I just heard during break. Anyhow, this is Whole Nother Level. Frank Mazzei, the Great Al Bushman, your man Eric Wilson. We are joined by Kristen Yalwood.
Just say Kristen. You don't have to say the full name. Just say Kristen.
Kristen. Anyhow, I said when we came back from break, we were going to talk a little college football. Little did I know that our special guest this evening is, in fact, from, as they say, how do you say it? The
Ohio State University.
Ohio State. Well, guess what? We are Penn State. Excuse me. So, gentlemen,
I'm going to let you two loose.
college football playoffs.
I'll chime in a little bit.
Let me ask Frank real quick. Frank,
Yes.
how do you feel about the way the college football playoffs are currently set with the 4 teams that are in it? Because I'm not going to call them the top 4 teams, but the 4 teams that are currently in the college football playoffs, how do you feel about that?
It's inconsistent with what the committee has preached, basically, and I don't have a dog in the fight in any way, but based on their emphasis last year on conference championships and them stressing that, I'm going off of their words, just looking at what they said, the actions don't match up. Even though the records are there, the one loss, Western Michigan, look, I'm sure they're fans, even though, they don't belong in there. But if I was a fan of Western Michigan, I'd make that argument. I'd say, hey, look, we're conference champs. So they say one thing, but then when they get in that room and they all start going back and forth, it's like everything else. They wanted to bring credibility to it, and it still lacks credibility. They haven't done that yet, and it lacked credibility before that committee. So you've got athletic directors in there on that committee that do have dogs in that fight, so to speak. Like the USC athletic director, or there was a Pac-12 athletic director that's on that committee, and he didn't have Washington seated very high in the top 4 at a point when Washington was undefeated. You can't tell me that, that there's not some,
corruption.
Exactly. Washington Huskies, man, I ain't putting, I'm just saying they wanted to bring credibility, and I don't think that they've done that. So it's still a flawed system in that regard. You got to put people in there. Ty Willingham's in there. He got fired by the University of Washington. Guess what? Guess where he didn't have University of Washington in the playoff thing? He had him out. So again, you can't tell me that there's not some sour grapes there, over being fired. So if you look at the people in that room, you need to put people in there that don't have an agenda. And I know that's easy to say because everybody in college football has an agenda almost, or a team they like or they root for. But you got to try and do it as objectively as possible. So if you're going to say that conference championships matter, then you have to follow that up, even if that means leaving out whoever, because that's what you said. So your words say one thing, your actions say another. Look, do I think Ohio State's a good team? Absolutely. Do I think they're probably one of the 4 best teams in the country? Absolutely. Can they win the whole thing? Absolutely. But again, just going off of what the committee said, because I believe, honestly, if Wisconsin would have won that game, I think they might have gotten in.
Frank, I want to give you a hug. I really do. See, Frank puts things into perspective and puts things in such a way that makes people appreciate who this man is. I'm not that good a person. Let me just say this right now, because I want to read something to you, Kristen. 10 years ago, this was said.
Was this when he was still with Florida?
And I quote, if you don't win your conference, you shouldn't be playing for a national championship. Urban Meyer, 2006. So,
was that when LSU got in to play without winning when they played Alabama and they weren't the conference champ?
I have no idea.
Ohio State lost to Florida 2006.
Okay.
With that being said, I appreciate what the man said. I've even had the opportunity to meet Urban Meyer. Seems like a stand-up guy to me. He coaches a great, great team. I will never say anything bad about, as you call them, the Ohio State University. But what I will say to you is this. How you did not play in the Big Ten championship, whether it would have been against Wisconsin or whether it would have been a rematch against my Penn State, you are the top team in the Big Ten. That does not garner you getting a pass and not playing in your conference championship, because your coach even said it himself. If you don't play in what is now the second highest playoff situation, you should not be able to go for the top prize. And Ohio State, last time I checked, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, They didn't play in the Big Ten championship game, did they?
No, they got a participation trophy.
Okay.
They got in.
But still in all, after all of that, after what Penn State was able to do to be down 21 points to a Wisconsin team, to rally back and beat them, to win the Big Ten championship, and then to be on the outside looking in, that is what I have a problem with. Last week when we did the show, and it was the Great L. Bushman and myself, I made the case that, you know what? Ohio State deserves to get in. They're a one-loss team. The only loss they had was to my Penn State, but they should play in the conference championship game. They should. That's their right. That's a privilege. So you get the Big Ten championship title, and if you are so fortunate enough to make it and run the table in the college football playoffs, you get both titles. I'm fine with that. You're a one-loss team. The only team that I could possibly see giving Ohio State a chance of like actually causing them some grief, some pain, some harm is the matchup that I think the world wants to see right now based on the 4 teams that are in there. Alabama, Ohio State, Saban, Meyer. That's what the world wants. And we may actually see that. But the problem that I have is you didn't play in your respective conference championship game. Alabama did.
People don't want to see Dabo and Chris Peterson go at it.
It's not sexy enough, Frank.
You're right. Boosters don't, unless you are a fan of those two teams.
ABC and ESPN don't want to see
the world, shall we say.
They want to see.
All of college football wants to see. They want to see Saban versus Meyer or Saban versus Harbaugh. They don't want to see Saban versus Franklin. It's not sexy. It's not. Let's call it what it is. But I'm saying to you, the problem that I have is Ohio State didn't play for their conference championship. They should not be in the college football playoffs. Kristen, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, let's talk about 2006 when he said that. We were in the BCS system. It's an entirely different system. We have these 12, 13 individuals watching so much football in this room. Last year, yes, they did emphasize conference championships. It is an entirely different group of people this year, and they said conference championships is not as important. It's the best 4 teams. We have 1 loss. Penn State has 2 losses. If they would have beaten Pitt, we went out and scheduled Oklahoma earlier in the season, beat Oklahoma in Oklahoma. Oklahoma was their conference championship. I think the committee got it right. They looked at the best 4 teams. I still think there might be a toss-up at 4 with Washington and Penn State. I think Penn State had a better strength of schedule. Penn State looks better to me. Washington, again, 1-loss team. I think the committee got it right. This is what we wanted all along. We didn't want computers deciding this. We wanted people watching the games deciding this. And that's what we got. There's a lot of Ohio State haters out there. People don't like us, and I understand. But at the end of the day, it's a 1-loss team. Penn State beat us, on the block field goal. That's what it comes down to. We beat Michigan, who destroyed Penn State. I think they got it right, honestly.
Asterisks with the Michigan game.
So,
well, okay, I look at this as if you're the committee, you look at the 4 best teams. Then why do you have conference championships? If you're going to emphasize that the first year and then the second year we're going to change this so we look at the top 4 teams, why have conference championships? You should just do away with it.
So whoever comes out of their respective conference,
because then you can revert we can revert back to the whole BCS system where the top 2 teams get in because they're the best teams. If you're going to have something like that, the top 4, we really don't really know who the top best teams are. Honestly, in my opinion, it should have been Penn State because they beat Ohio State and they won the conference championship. If you're going to do it, you should expand it out to 8 teams.
What the conference championship does for some teams, though, is it puts teams in that might not have gotten in because it boosts their strength of schedule.
Yep.
Winning a game against another, typically you'd think a ranked team, if they're playing for their conference championship, that they're going to be in the top 20, top 25.
Right.
So it gives you another chance to win that game because like the Big 12, Oklahoma are the Big 12 champions, no conference championship. So when they won, their season ends. So a team that goes out and gets that extra game and wins, that could boost them. If you were looking at Oklahoma, say, being the 4 team, getting the 4 seed and another team, and you were like back and forth on the fence, and this team played a conference championship and got that extra win. So that's part of the importance of the conference championship is, well, one, to be conference champions, but it can boost your strength of schedule and give you an extra quality win against a top 25 team that somebody else on the fence might not have. So it's still not a perfect system. It's still flawed, basically, just like everything else we've had before, just maybe not as flawed.
I mean, you could call me a conspiracy theorist all you want to, because going back to the whole Penn State thing, it's not sexy if you don't have Alabama or Ohio State. That brings in ratings. Everybody can agree. Right. That brings in ratings. It brings in money.
Yes.
Brings in ratings for all the TV stations, ESPN, ABC. It brings in money. So call me that. Because if you have something like a Penn State getting in there without Ohio State, it's not as glamorous.
It would have been glamorous this year, though, for the simple fact that everything that Penn State
it would have been a great story.
Through,
it would have been a great story.
It was very much like Clemson, the story of Clemson last year. You know what I'm saying? Story of Clemson last year, how this team rallied together around an unfortunate death of a young child and this little tiger and everybody doing the dab. And, so that was a great story. To see what Penn State had gone through after the whole Sandusky thing, to see them still have a team, and the football program did not just kind of go away. It wasn't overshadowed by the basketballs or the lacrosse or the wrestlings or the volleyballs or anything else. Penn State football was still Penn State football, and everything that they had to endure for 4 years to get back to this level and then to be denied an opportunity. I'm not saying we would have won, but give us that opportunity. I think now you've taken away that momentum, because let's say for some reason next year Penn State is able to get in. The story's not going to be as sexy. It's not.
I just look at it as if you're going to do this, and the men's basketball team does it, they have a 64-team playoff, pretty much. Put it out to 8.
Right.
Put it out to 8 teams. You consider conference champions as the people getting in, because teams like Western Michigan can now get in. You have an undefeated team. Now, granted, they're not in the strongest conference. We all know that. But still, teams that go undefeated and win their conference championships should be considered to at least get a shot at the national title.
With the grief that they're going to get over this year, I expect it to go to 8.
And it should.
You're going to see that's the next thing that's going to happen. That's going to come out of this year is that they're going to talk about expansion. I don't know if they'll go fully to 8. They may not want to jump fully to 8 and be like, well, we'll go to
6. We'll go to 6.
But let me ask you a question. If they go to 8, who doesn't want to see Michigan, Ohio State again? Tell me, honestly, who doesn't want to see a round 2 Michigan, Ohio State now in the playoffs?
Somebody's always going to be unhappy, because if you go to 8, then number 9 is going to be like, oh,
what about me?
10-3. Come on, we're right there. So there's always going to be somebody, because even in college basketball, as ridiculous as it is with those 68 teams, those teams that sit there at like 69 and 70, which everybody knows has absolutely no chance of cutting down the nets, even if they let them in, they're still there beating their chest saying, well, what about us? We were right there. We should be there. So it's always going to be, somewhat skewed, but,
I say expand it to 8, because I still say you're going to have the sexy matchup that you're looking for, but at the end of the day.
So I'm so surprised no Ohio State fans called in and you guys are wrong.
813-699-5353 is the number. So really quick, last order of business before we ride out of here. 2 things. Number 1, Frank, I want to ask you, with the Heisman nominees, do you see anybody who you feel has been left out?
Jackson for USC.
Okay.
I would have liked to have seen him got it. If you're going to put Jabril Peppers in there, Action Jackson should. I think he belongs there. Look, the Washington quarterback Browning put up good numbers. They play on the West Coast. I mean, not too many people are seeing the Washington Huskies games, but look, I thought he had a good season as well. So you could make those. You could probably make those cases. Peppers, his productivity, he had a little bit of a little hiccup. We'll call it a hiccup. He had a few hiccups. So for him to get the invite, I mean, I'm glad to see a defensive player get an invite, because at least usually you have absolutely no shot at winning, and which he doesn't. But I would, if you're going to bring a defensive player in, Jackson from USC, okay. I flip flop them.
All right, Al Bushman.
Well, I'm biased on this because my boy Dalvin Cook. I would have liked to see him maybe get a nod, and maybe even Christian McCaffrey too.
Dalvin Cook was mine.
Flowers.
Quentin Flowers from USF.
No, Dalvin Cook, when I saw he wasn't in, I kind of wanted to flip the table over a little bit. I was very impressed by what I saw from this young man, and I was like, how are you not, at the very least, giving him, like you said, Frank, giving him the invitation to come, because what he was able to do this year, you know what? I hope he does what we see Tom Brady do over and over again. Whatever team picks him up, I hope he takes down on everybody each and every week. He's a guy I'm looking for right now. When he goes to the NFL, I'm going to have my eye on him. I'm saying, seriously. Kristen, anybody from you?
I was going to say Dalvin Cook, mine as well. I think he should be there over Peppers. I think Peppers is totally overrated.
Yeah. Last bit of business. We know it's not baseball season just yet, but a big trade happened today. Chris Sale went to the Red Sox in a 4-player deal. So, Great L. Bushman, this is the AL East. What are you thinking about this right now?
I'm a little nervous right now.
Okay.
This is like a murderer's row of pitchers the Red Sox have now gotten. And this was actually a shocker of a trade, too, because there's a lot of talks about him going somewhere in the NL for a long time. Mm-hmm. But to have the Sox come out and just pull off this mega trade, their rotation is going to be very, very scary up. You got David Price, Rick Porcello, now you got Sale, and all three of those guys are number one guys. And you have Drew Pomeranz in there as well. It's just very scary. I'm a little nervous.
All right.
I'm a little nervous right now.
What's the word on the street right now in regards to your ace, Archer? Have you heard
honestly,
anything?
I wouldn't even call him the ace of our staff, because looking at Cobb, he's the ace.
Okay.
But to put this on the trade value market with baseball going into the winter meetings this coming week, it puts a lot of high value on race pitchers, because Chris Sale was pretty much the number one guy people were coveting for the offseason. So now teams are going, okay, if we need starting pitchers, then we're going to look to the Rays, because you got Alex Cobb. And what ownership has now said is everybody's on the table. Nobody's protected. We'll listen to any kind of deal. So, and they're probably looking to deal maybe 1 or 2 starting pitchers in the offseason. So we'll look at Cobb probably to go, or maybe Chris Archer.
I mean, look, if you're looking at Chris Archer, I mean, you think if you put him on a team that's going to give him some run support,
he's going to be nasty.
Exactly. I mean, that's a bargain deal, basically. Yep. I mean, I think Sale goes to the top of that rotation.
Yeah,
in Boston. I think he's better than all of them, basically.
It's just the asking price on Chris Archer is it's high, and the only team that's really inquired about him is the Atlanta Braves, but Atlanta's really got nothing to give up. So, but the asking price on Archer is super high. So whatever team wants to make a deal for Archer, you got to give up a lot.
Time will tell, as we always say here at Hold On Level, and we shall see. So before we let y'all right out of here, so I already know you, Kristen, are in the playoffs, so congratulations and good luck to you. Frank, are you in the money for your fantasy this?
No, the one I did, there was no money. So
okay. Right.
I have a winning record, but I'm still going.
All right. Great L. Bushman.
I am in the playoffs. I am the number 3 seed. Yes, I'm playing for
so are you.
Number 3 seed as well?
Number 3.
Nice. So I am playing for some big money as well.
And unfortunately, as I said to start the show, first year of fantasy football, I drew the last pick, and I still wound up coming up 7th. I unfortunately am not in the host season.
For your first year, that's not bad.
No, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, I know. You're happy to take my money.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Let me translate what she just said.
She's trying to be nice, but no, y'all happy for my money. I'm not.
She's going to wave it in front of you if she wins. She'll be like, thanks, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
She's going to make it rain. I'm not playing next year. I already said I'm
Dude, come on.
I'm doing DraftKings. I'm going to be like our man, Rafael Tony Lopez Jr. I'm going to do DraftKings
Once the year rolls around and it's football time again, you'll be signing up again. Trust me. It's like heroin. You can't get enough.
I'll do DraftKings. I can spend less and get more.
No, you'll lose more on DraftKings than you would in one season of regular fantasy football.
We'll talk about that after the show. But anyhow, for our girl Kristen joining us, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Me.
Yeah, no, stop in anytime you want. It's nice to have a face amongst these clowns around here. So anytime you want to come back, please let us know.
You don't like looking at us?
Yeah, no, we're not pretty enough.
Frank, I've looked at you for 7 years, my brother, and you don't age much. So I'm kind of jealous, and I'm the dark-skinned one of the group. Great L. Bushman, I just see way too much of you. We see
way
each other
too much.
6
You
days
see
a
me
week.
more than you see your wife.
I know. I know. You might as well move in. I mean, hell. But anyhow.
I'm going to need a place to crash soon.
For the guys who aren't here, Craig and Dwayne, For our special guest, Kristen, for the factual Frank Mazzei, as I call him, and, of course, the great Al Bushman. This is your man, Eric Wilson. Until Sunday, hey, listen, everybody, Sunday, get down to Old School, 1991 Main Street, downtown Sarasota, right next to Hollywood 20. We're there from 11:30 till the start of the games. They got Sunday Bloody Sundays, which are off the chain. They've got 2-for-1 drafts. This month, all of our proceeds from our 50-50 raffle are going to Toys for Tots. Already have raised over $200 for that great organization. I mean, we're just continually giving back. That's what we do here on Whole Nother Level. And as always, we never settle. So until then, we have taken you there once again to a whole nother level. And we'll see you next time.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Autobots,